Okay, so we'll go in order then for these.
Okay.
Okay, the next is spatial flux and chaos. Interesting. What also happens is insights come from connecting two independent things that you wouldn't ordinarily ever put together. So I've never, seen this together. I don't know what it means. So then you have to go through the process of going, what does this mean for me in the context of what this question is? And then it helps to have the group there in terms of the feedback and the energy. But chaos is spatial flux. Spatial flux to me, I guess, means sort of like in the interaction between the humans, right? There is a sort of a spatial flux here. There's our energy fields go 70 feet, and yet we rarely discuss that. We're always interacting in an energy way, but we don't talk about that. Now, chaos, the value of chaos is especially I've seen in this place, is you bring people in, and everyone's coming from a different perspective, everyone's coming from a different worldview, everyone's coming from a very chaotic belief system, because we're not all grown up together with the same beliefs. Canada is so multicultural and it's multi-generational. So in terms of a shared knowledge community, there's a real, there's a challenge between the chaos that naturally exists between human beings and whatever that does in terms of, like, the people will be going through a mental resorting system that can be quite difficult.
And very powerful. Because in quantum physics, spatial flux is chaos, and that's where there's huge momentum.
So I guess it's the shared knowledge community is a chaotic system in some sense, because there is a very defined structure, but it's very sort of loose when you start to get the human beings actually together. So I hope we just...
That works. Yeah.
Jurisdiction and happiness.
Happiness and what?
Jurisdiction.
And you're coming from the perspective of time, right?
Is this my thing to do or think about? Jurisdiction, when I think of that word, I mean, it certainly, to me, is about oversight and patterns, and I think of control and things like that.
Responsibility?
Yeah. And
responsibility?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And at first glance, I wouldn't think that happiness, being sort of a rebellious type myself, that wouldn't necessarily follow. But at the same time, if jurisdiction is about order and a certain amount of predictability, there is happiness in that, because you know what to expect, and maybe you have planned things in a certain way using jurisdiction, and it will take you to your goals, maybe. And there's happiness in that.
Does anyone have?
As Anna was saying, when the people take jurisdiction over their resources, and in this case over their water, automatically happiness follows. So here we have pattern and beauty.
Oh.
I like, do you want to say something here, Anna? I like to hear what you have to say. Absolutely, in nature, in every part of our lives, I think. But I tend to think of nature first, and water. Water is alive. Have you read Dr. Emoto? Anyway.
I think that's very important to bring in.
Dr. Emoto's work?
Well, yeah, to bring more of the spiritual aspect of what we're dealing with here.
Right. Water, of course, is the messenger. It carries everything about our life, and it mirrors, it sustains. And in Dr. Emoto's scientific work dealing with, have you read about Dr. Emoto? Anyway, he works with crystals, and he finds that crystals, first of all, won't form in polluted water, only in pure water. And he can take a word and hold it up to water, facing in towards a bottle of water, and that water will reflect whatever the word is in the kind of crystal it makes. So if he holds up a word like happiness, the crystal looks really happy. And if he holds up a really ugly thought like you fool, it just makes the most ugly crystal you can believe. So anyway, it's fascinating work, and water is amazing that way, in the way it really...
It reflects the intention, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It reflects the intention. And so if it's a negative intention, the crystals change. It's fascinating. I've actually seen the pictures in a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? Anyway.
You got to see that movie.
It kind of crosses science and spirituality.
One time he held up a picture of an old Shinto shrine in Japan, and the water, the thing that was not known about this picture was that many centuries ago that Shinto shrine had a gate that was very well known for the way it separated at the top. Well, the crystal showed the exact separation when it formed of the gate, which wasn't in that picture. It had been in a previous form, of that gate. So it's like the water knew that.
It reads the energetic imprint,
Yeah.
the signature.
Yeah.
And we are, 70-some% water? Made up of
90% water when we were
90%
born,
water? Okay.
and 50% water by our age.
Right.
We need more water as we get older.
So, anyway, that has...
I just wonder about the cumulative effect of all of these little dams, and just on the whole water system. It's like, imagine in our body if we put all these little dams and then tried to draw the power out, and then it was sucked out. It's just like sucking this energy out, and then going through electricity, which in itself is sort of like a stepping down process. Like I just seems to me that an alternative energy source, like all of this money, like billions of, like there's $2 billion right now going into these IPP projects, and Tesla, in the 40s, had come up with unity energy, free energy. Why aren't we putting, all that money, a lot of that money into researching free energy devices?
Because capitalism doesn't make money off of free systems,
Yeah. It's just...
I think. Yeah.
So let's go to the next one.